Bye.
Very
Hey,
good. Well,
George.
we have a quorum now, as I see, so I'm going
Okay,
to call the
great.
meeting to
Great.
order with the roll call. Bill Groves, Commissioner.
Craig Mellon,
Tom
Commissioner.
Benelli, Commissioner.
Susan Dowling, Commissioner.
George Mathenall, Commissioner.
I get all five, I believe. So we're going to start the meeting. We do have, Lauren, you said we have two people for public comment? Is that true?
We did have two, but one has left. We do have Roseanne on, so
Okay.
I will allow her to talk now.
Very good. So I'd like to welcome Roseanne Katowski, that she'd like to speak on the Mystic Bluffs project. So as I said, we always encourage the public to come anytime they have a view on something for us to take their input. So I'm going to pass it to Roseanne. We already cut it to 5 to 10 minutes. We want to make sure you have the time to do it. And the only question I have, because they came up, are you representing yourself as an individual taxpayer or as a member of the RTM or?
Both.
Both. Okay, very good. So Roseanne, take it away.
Well, can I ask a question? In representing the RTM, I mean, it is.
I'm not representing the RTM. I'm representing myself as a member of the RTM.
Okay, all right. I just want to be clear about that.
Okay.
Thank you, Roseanne.
Okay. First, I just want to thank Susan and Lauren for helping me with the assistance with this meeting. Roseanne Katowski, 24 Ann Avenue, Mystic, Connecticut, RTM District 5. Today, I would like to bring to your attention concerns regarding the Mystic Oral School Mega Development Project. In my opinion, the Mystic Oral School Mega Development 931 unit, 8-story parking garage, 50-room hotel, and bus terminal is not a good project for the town, the community, or the Mystic Oral School property. Town staff, volunteers, and elected officials need to bring forward and support projects that are good for the community, not that destroy it. On February 13, 2016, yes, 2016, I wrote the following letter. Dear Mr. Braun, please reference the article below from Saturday's Day regarding developing the former Mystic Oral School property. I am contacting you to request resident involvement in all aspects of the process to develop the former Mystic Oral School property. It does not appear from the article that anything will happen overnight, so to speak. Therefore, please consider allowing residents to participate along with town and state officials in the entire process. Perhaps a task force could be established in order to include all interested residents. I have copied my RTM representatives as well as Mayor Flax for their information and hopeful support. Thank you for your consideration. Have a nice day, Roseanne Katowski. Since 2016, when it appears that town staff came up with the mega development project, I have repeatedly requested and practically pleaded with them to allow neighbor input. My hope was at the time and continues to be that the town would involve the neighbors in the process before any decisions were made. But the neighbors were completely shut out. The process has been totally non-transparent. Then at the end of 2019, the town presented the Mystic Oral School Mega Development Project. Done deal, like it or love it. For your information, town staff will say, quote, nothing has happened yet with this project out of one side of their mouth. And on the other side of their mouth, they'll say, we have a preferred developer and we cannot consider other projects. Since the mega development project is being advertised as economic development, it seems like a logical question to ask, was the EDC involved in the selection or approval of the mega development project for the Mystic Oral School property? A few questions to ask the EDC are, did the EDC see the following documents? The proposals rejected by town staff, the purchase and sale agreement with the state and the developer, the development agreement between the town and the developer, the lease agreement with the state and the developer, the short-term tax agreement with the town, the state, and the developer. If not, why? FYI, town staff withheld these documents from the Planning and Zoning Commission and the public. The 4 signed agreements intentionally circumvented the Planning and Zoning Commission. I requested and received some of the documents from the state and had to FOI the rest from the town, and then forwarded the documents to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Is the developer meeting all the deadlines in the development agreement with the town? Does the EDC know? If not, why? Please ask to see the FOI request for documents from Attorney McCausher. This FOI requested information regarding specific deadlines for the developer in the signed agreement with the town. Then asked to see the town response. The town responded with, quote, "There are no responsive documents for each item requested." Why? How can there be no responsive documents when there are specific deadlines included in the development agreement? Could it be because the developer has not met any deadlines in the agreement with the town? Should the EDC be aware of this? Both Reskler and Reiner have publicly stated that, quote, "This project cannot move forward without TIF money." Should the EDC ask what deal the town has made with the developer for TIF? If town staff says there is no deal, ask why the developer is purchasing land surrounding the Mystic Oral School property. Why would the developer spend millions if there is no assurance of a guaranteed reduction in taxes by the town? The town council claims they are supporting this project under the guise of economic development and increased tax revenue. But what is in the TIF regulations? Is the town allowed to reduce the developer's tax bill by as much as 50%? Is that something the EDC should be concerned with? Also, in the development agreement, the town is required to assist the developer with all approvals. That means TIF and permits. Just a couple more questions. What would you like to see at the Mystic Oral School property? Was the EDC asked the question? If not, that means not one person in Groton has ever been asked that question, ever. FYI, town staff will say they had a meeting where people put little round stickers on easel boards. Not the same thing. Not one Groton resident, volunteer, or elected official was ever asked that question, including the approving authority, the Planning and Zoning Commission. No Groton resident ever said, "I would like to see a 931 unit, 8-story parking garage, 50-room hotel and bus terminal on the Mystic Oral School property." The decision was made by town staff. In a bizarre twist, in a bizarre year, the town council is supporting the mega development proposal for the Mystic Oral School property before there are regulations written for the property and before there is an application submitted to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Unfortunately, it seems that the town council has made the decision to sacrifice the northeast section of town with a mega development that is too dense, unrealistic, and totally out of character for the neighborhood. Just so you know, I am not anti-development and could support the rejected Groton Housing Authority proposal for 192 units. If the EDC does not believe the mega development project is appropriate for the Mystic Oral School property, please speak up. Remember, town staff works for you, not the reverse. The only bright spot in this unfortunate situation is the hope that the Planning and Zoning Commission will write regulations for the Mystic Oral School property that are appropriate, realistic, with reasonable density, and are good for the Mystic Oral School property, the community, and the town. Any assistance the EDC can give to the Mystic Oral School neighbors or the Planning and Zoning Commission to eliminate or scale back this mega development, as well as prevent the zone change that would allow the project to move forward, would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Roseanne. I appreciate your comments and feedback, and you did a lot of research, and we do appreciate you coming to speak before us. So with that, public communication, just to let you know, it's not a Q&A session. It's just to give the opportunity to share and just so the other commissioners understand that, but I do appreciate your presentation.
Thank you.
Next order of business is approval of minutes for the meeting of March 4th, 2021. Did everyone have the opportunity to review them? And if so, if there are any additions, deletions, or changes that would like to be made? Yep.
Just a quick question. Was something submitted in writing from Roseanne, or was it just her? Was something submitted in writing to the commission?
No, there was not to my knowledge.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I believe she was just trying to keep in the time frame that we had allotted and which is very appreciated. So she was very well prepared.
Okay, all right. I didn't know if there's something in advance that was provided, but okay, I'll make a
More than
motion.
welcome. Any communications from in written form that comes to us, Laura, we will get it out to the packages. As far as I know, nothing has been, given to us at this point.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The minutes are passed. Okay, old business, and I'm very happy that we were able to do this with the cooperation of Sector, but on April 12th, we'll be having technically our second forum of the year. That Sector has very nicely agreed to we're hosting it and they to speak on it and really to get into exactly the resources they have for the small businesses that have impacted not from COVID, but also from the natural development that we're seeing now with businesses inquiring about the Groton area. So I've seen some of their presentations before. They're very well organized. They'll have not only Nancy speaking as the director, but they'll also bring in the commercial lenders and such like that, how they work with people. And they do get into helping small business with business plans and giving them the resources, or at least go to the areas where they can get the assistance they're looking for. It's also a good network for some of the businesses that have used Sector, because we encourage them to do that when they've gotten the lift from Sector. So that being said, here's our charge: is we have the list that we use, the 20 names we did for the COVID, where we went out with the masks and the signs and such like that, which I think was a great start. I know we had follow up with that. So I ask you to use that, but also any of the other business networks that you've kind of developed. Like I have a natural network with inside me, so that's how I spread it out on top of it. And to reach out, get people to sign up, because it is a sign up meeting. It will be recorded, so if people are not available to attend it, they can go back to the Explore Groton and also see the recorded version of it. But this is what we really wanted to do last year before COVID hit. So I think it's a great start, and to give something, a good resource to some of the businesses that are just trying to figure out what's available to them to help them out here. Any discussion on that? Any questions?
Bill, do you have an anticipated time frame for how long it will go?
Usually they run about an hour, I would say, but it's really how interactive it is. I mean, what I ask is every commission member to attend. So we should be there. We're hosting these things. We should be there. I mean, they'll be doing the presenting. I'll be doing the introducing, but the support that the commission lends to it is important. But I don't think it's going to be any more than an hour. But if there's a lot of people attending and there's interaction, that's a good thing.
Sure.
So we're not going to cut it off, type of thing. But, I wouldn't think their presentations any more than 45 minutes, maybe an hour on the long side. Paige, you agree with that, or?
Yeah, I would say that's about
Yeah.
right.
So it's not a huge time commitment, especially for a business that want to get on. And if they hear something of interest, now they have the people to contact. So I think it's well worth everyone's time to at least see what they're doing in this area, because they really have done a great job throughout this whole COVID, but they've always been doing a great job. And a lot of people, we had, the last meeting, here's a business owner that's a commissioner, never heard of them before. That's one of the things we have to overcome, that the town does have resources available to us. So.
What day of the week is that? I don't have a calendar.
Monday, I believe.
Okay, thank you.
We try to, the Monday's the day that we have tried to target, especially from the restaurant business, but it seems from a business approach is that's when there's the most availability.
Yeah,
The timing, I think it's 6:30 is the start time of it.
it says 6 o'clock here. I don't know if that's right.
I don't have it in front of me.
That's okay.
actual
Yeah, I
time.
think it's good. I think a Monday's good. Thank
Feel free. I mean, it'll be, I believe we're going to have the Lauren had run up, but go onto the Explore page and print up on your own, just some of the, this is what it is. If you want to have a handout. I mean, I know some people like to have something to hand out to businesses, so you can, yes, Paige.
Yeah, so if anyone needs copies, we certainly could print them. But this is in the event calendar. Lauren had put it in the event calendar. So please refer to it at that site. Also, EDC members, you're going to need to register as well. Every single individual who would participate will register for the event. So we would encourage that. Any additional information you might need, we're certainly willing to help. Our goal is to get as many people as possible participating in this.
How do we, is it something going to be sent, or is it on the website, the town website to register? Where is it? How do you
Explore Groton.
register? Just want to make
The
sure.
same webpage we've been trying to
Okay.
drive business to.
I believe that Lauren also put it on Facebook,
Okay.
which also links to the event. But under Explore More, if you go to events, you can find it at that location.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? So what
Sounds
I'd
good.
like you guys to do is so we have basically 2 weeks, 11 days, however, between now and then. Keep Lauren updated on who you've, have outreach to, so we can kind of have a feel about how many people have been contacted and such. And then we can also see from then who's actually registering, because then if we can get back to you saying, hey, you mentioned so-and-so, but we didn't see them registering, you might want to touch base with them just to give them a reminders type of thing. So it's a good way for Lauren to keep track of it for us and to do the follow-up, because sometimes they do need that second call as a reminder. So
The last comment I would make, in case people ask, well, what am I going to learn? Sector offers significant financial resources, and we have more resources that are coming. We've got now the American Rescue Plan Act, and there are a lot of federal and state resources that sector is in line with, and they're partnering with Groton. So it would, if nothing else, businesses would learn a lot in listening to sector regarding the available resources.
and on top of it, and I think they mentioned before, Nancy, sector actually partners with the banks in the area too, because I know I've done partnering with them. So people that are currently in banking relationships in a business can sometimes work with their bank and sector at the same time. And they're just not aware of it. So it's a good thing. I think it's good for all the businesses to get involved, not just the restaurants, although that's usually our target because they've been hit the hardest. But I think every business in this area could benefit from it. Anything
Great.
else? Okay, I don't show any other new business on the agenda unless there's something I'm missing, but I don't believe we had any. So with that, I'm going to go right to the staff report, because basically the forums is my chair report, and that's basically what my focus has been on. So Paige, you take it away.
Unmute.
Unmute.
COVID-19 has always been at the top of our report every month. We continue to have business assistance under our COVID drop down. March 19th, the governor was able to relax some more standards, which is really helping. Hopefully we'll move in that right direction into summer. The long-term recovery committee of Groton met on March 24th. And one of the large conversations at that time was the American Recovery Plan funding. Groton will receive money at a minimum. It was about $3.5 million. It could be much higher with other funding, and that does not even include the school funding. The schools receive their funding directly. So that funding will go towards needs such as infrastructure, labor, also small businesses. We don't have any guidance beyond knowing the funding is available. We anticipate getting more guidance from the feds and the state over the next few weeks. And from that guidance, we will craft a local plan in order to try to release some of this money to needed organizations, businesses in the community. In terms of marketing, I hope that the EDC had the opportunity to look at the site selection magazine link in the next paragraph. We worked for a few months with Site Selection magazine. There was a Connecticut edition. Connecticut was spotlighted, and we have a 2/3 page ad that ran. Also within that article, a lot of commentary from the governor and Electric Boat. So our ad paired well with that commentary about manufacturing and our high education level and workforce in the state. Sam has taken the lead regarding what we call a blue tech microsite, and there's a description in the staff report about that. There are parts of the state that are noted for fintech and biotech. We are the blue tech corner of the state, but we've yet to really maximize that angle. So Sam has been working with Golden Shovel, who hosts our Explore More Groton site, to develop this microsite, and it will be populated with more information as we move forward. But it's our first attempt to really push out a certain sector, not to be confused with the sector in the last agenda item, but industry sector, I should say. And we're pretty excited. Blue tech is more than simply submarines. It's undersea robotics, aquaculture, wind energy, et cetera. So we're really trying to capitalize on that and market that accordingly in Groton. We just discussed the business forum. We worked with Bill on that over the past month. Next item, Chelsea Groton and downtown will be expanding. And we've heard about this for a few years, but they finally are going to pull the trigger and enlarge the size of the building. The interior and the exterior will be entirely renovated. The exterior, I can tell you, will look quite modern. There'll be a significant glass exterior. It'll look quite different from what it does today. And that's going to really provide us a solid location in trying to rebuild our downtown. Wayfinding signage, we finally have the bid specs. They're at 95% level at this point. They just came in this week. And our first target, as I've said before, 2 areas. One, we're doing a little project in downtown Mystic, but the other location, which will be more significant, is the intersection of Pequannock and North Road. And the signage will extend up North Road all the way to the interchange at 95. That'll be kind of our test case to illustrate or to demonstrate to Groton what we're envisioning town-wide with the signage. We're actually hoping to have that in by summer. I mentioned last time some of our industrial properties. We have significant interest. There is data center interest, and you'll hear more about that forthcoming. Obviously, the state, the governor, DECD had led that charge, and we've had a couple different entities interested in that use. Mystic River Bluffs, quick update. Corsi and Company, a firm that works for Respler, is doing more public outreach. They were involved in the beginning part of the project, have not been that active over the past few months, but have been re-engaged to work on behalf of Respler. Planning and Zoning Commission continues to deal with the zoning. That district has to be created before there's any application made to the town for any future development. Again, this involves about 80 acres of land, half of which would be preserved as open space, and the other half is really already developed. That is where the development is proposed. Specific to the Pratt building, there's been a lot of discussion between council, the staff, and the public regarding the use of that Pratt building. In particular, what's going to happen with the auditorium space. There's been quite a push to have a performing arts theater at that location. Great Blue was brought in to gauge public sentiment regarding the theater and also the Pratt building, and in general to gauge the development as a whole. They have begun their work in March. It's my understanding they will finish up, I think, by mid-April. Groton Heights, hopefully by summer, we'll have a sales agreement before the council from Thayer Mahan. You may have seen a recent story, by the way, I think it was this week. Thayer Mahan is getting a grant, a federal grant to work with Orsted and Eversource in doing some ocean bottom surveying with cabling as they plan future wind farms. 517, 529 Gold Star Highway. So final agreements have been completed with the developer. The developer is PJ&A and also Lennar Development. Lennar is the third largest residential developer in the country. They are definitely on a fast track to move forward with this project. They are eager to jumpstart it. Sealy School, another project that is underway. If you drive out to that project, which will be called Triton Square, you'll notice that they're demolishing the building now. They began with a lot of the environmental mitigation, removing asbestos and tiles, etc. You'll see that building come down pretty quickly now, and right afterwards they'll begin construction on the development. Colonel Ledyard School, the final agreements have been approved, and Bell Site, the name of the developer, Bill Block, he's anxious to move forward. He is having some meetings right now with the city of Groton. The city controls the zoning in that area. And then the last public project I would say is Pleasant Valley School. The staff and the review committee have finalized their interviews, have done site visits of comparable projects for the developers, and they are recommending a preferred developer for that site. That will be moving forward this year onto town council in various forms. Last comment, I would say we've been tracking unemployment data. Last month's report, we didn't have that data. For some reason, it wasn't available. But we do have January at this time. If you'll note, we had been trending downward for a number of months. That would be a positive indicator. And unfortunately, January, we trended back up. So we went from December 2020, we were at 7.5% unemployment. And January, we jumped up to 9.1. Notice that correlates similarly to the state. The state would be in the right-hand column. The state went from 7.5 to 8.5. I don't really have an explanation on that, but it'll be interesting to see what happens this spring as we get warmer weather. I'm optimistic it'll go back down. Thank you.
Hey, Paige, on these development updates, do we have any timeframes on like the brewery, the Standard, all the ones down in Mystic, or?
No, I know people are anxious about that brewery in a good way. I do not have a timeline at this point. If you go by the Standard, you can see they're progressing pretty aggressively.
Yeah, I just track with close. I mean, that's one thing with the Standard I noticed. There are like 4 or 5 mechanical trucks outside, and
yeah,
how much further into because we just had a crazy, the spring, the Easter break was out this weekend, and Mystic looked like it was in full summer mode.
Right.
So when you put the trucks on the side of it, it kind of just hinders a little bit. So that's why I was inquiring, but someone asked me that, and I said, hey, great question. The brewery was on the sidebar.
We had Senator Murphy came to Mystic on Tuesday. We had a little walking tour. That was the talk of the tour. When's that brewery going to be open? People pretty excited about it.
Well,
Last point under key property development, that former Tim Hortons downtown, that's been, in my opinion, quite an an eyesore. Not that it was a bad looking building, but it's been vacant for so long. Really happy that we're going to be able to get a restaurant to go in that location.
What is it? What restaurant is it?
Popeyes.
Oh, okay. That's great. I was gonna say that the stand building, that is so deceivingly big, it goes back and it's huge. I mean, it's funny how it just fits in there and you've got all those units in there. I forget how many there are. Do you know how many there are in that building?
I think about 12 condo units, and then it also has some professional offices and some retail. And I believe, all the parking is underneath the building.
I was gonna say, I saw that on the side. Do you know how many parking places they have? Is it equal to the amount of? It's amazing how did they go down underground or are they ground level?
I don't know exactly. I think for the most part, ground level. Whether or not there was any excavation, I really can't say. I think they provided for close to 100% of their parking need. There may have been a small parking variance, but most of their parking is being handled on site.
Okay, great. Yeah, good.
Speaking
Paige,
Interesting.
sorry. Paige, just a quick question, Paige. Where Popeyes is going in, is any word on like the old Pizza Hut and that corner that they cleared?
Yes. I don't want to give too much optimism on that, but I would say the past few years we've had a lot of interest and inquiries. And I know some realtors that have had a couple hot leads. I would not be surprised if by summer we hear something. Restaurant type interests are looking at that site. The problem with that site is it abuts a state road, and the state will not give permission for a left turn out. So it's right turn out only and right turn in, unless they can actually come up with a deal with an abutting property owner to find some secondary access. So that's been the challenge with that site.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Paige, in your written report, you referenced Mystic parking. Is there any additional parking coming on the Groton side of the river that you see?
I guess did I miss that item? Did I cover it?
No, you didn't cover it.
That was the
I'm sorry.
meeting.
So the report will be out shortly. I don't know an exact date right now. I think clearly we are not building a parking garage. Oftentimes people will say, just build a parking garage and be done with it. Our belief, and it was reaffirmed by the consultant, we need better parking management of our existing spaces. Case in point, the on-street spaces are not regulated in any way. So someone can go there and park all day long, including an employee, and it never turns over. So
Yeah, I noticed that there's a lot of out-of-state parking that seems that they never leave their cars because there's no place for them to go because they're visiting, and I don't know what's going on there, but I agree with you there.
So Craig, back to your question, I think that we likely will have some options for some increased parking spaces on the Groton side, but that doesn't mean that we're going to, tear down a house or start knocking down any landscaping to put in parking spaces. We're really talking about maximizing the efficient use of existing paved areas on street and off street, and finding some creative and even technological ways to try to get parking to kind of self-regulate itself. And I know that the police department's been involved. They're prepping to have some staffing that will deal with some enforcement.
I asked because already New London Road, when people park on both sides of it, it's dangerous. If there were a fire truck trying to come through, it couldn't at times. And so if management's the answer, fine, but some of that may actually have to be less parking rather than more, or some other way of protecting people's safety.
Right. But if you ignore the uses downtown and you just look at pavement, even places that are not used for parking, it's surprising to see how much space there is. So I believe the consultant's trying to get creative.
Look forward to that, especially all of us that have to go through Mastic all the
Yeah, I
time.
find a place to park when we live here. But I think it's great to have all the stimulation and all the businesses and all the people. You know, that's really a good thing.
Anything else for Paige?
No, thanks, Paige.
Thank you very much. Oh, and Susan, I'm sure you were referring to it, but there's the, in the package,
Uh-huh.
Lauren did put together the one page for the forum.
Oh,
So
good.
It's something that can be, you can make copies of if you want to hand it to somebody just as a reference type of
I
thing.
will. Okay, I'll grab that tomorrow. Oh, no, you're not open tomorrow. I'll grab it Monday. Thank you.
Very good. Okay, any other business?
Bill, I know we already went through public communications, but since that time we have 4 attendees that are listening in. I don't know if you want to give them the option to speak.
Absolutely.
So if any of the attendees, I see DMZ, Elizabeth Nato, Linda Vogel, and Susan Henrique, if you wish to speak, just raise your hand. I see no hands, Bill, so I think they're just listening in.
Well, thank you very much for attending. We do encourage it. The more feedback and the more people that are involved, it makes it a little bit easier for us to do our jobs, even the volunteer. So hearing no other business, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you much, everyone.
Have a nice Easter, everybody. Nice to
You guys
see you
all.
all.
Happy
Bye.
Easter.
Take care.